Rand Paul out, which I have mixed feelings about Rand Paul being out, but I'll let you talk about that one first.
Okay, so for starters, Rand Paul was not that bad of a candidate. He's not. His views, some of them are out there. He this is the thing. I have issues with the libertarian movement, but it's not terrible. Obviously, I'm for more centralized government, hence the liberal portion in certain aspects. But I am also, I would consider socially libertarian. I think that what you do in your personal life is your personal life. But there does have to be safety nets in government in order to make the country as a whole function. And it seemed to me that Rand Paul was a good happy medium for the Republican Party to pull in people like me that may potentially would have voted for him. I'm not saying that I would have voted for him, but he, out of all those candidates, seemed the more reasonable one. His problem again is a Martin O'Malley problem. He's not as likable.
But
he's not echoing a lot of the same things that the other candidates are saying, but he's just not. He can't mobilize a base. That's kind of his problem.
he has his dad's problem. There's a lot of people that agree with him that think he has very good ideas, but he's never going to get into office. He'll run 10 more times throughout the rest of his life. He's never going to get elected. Unless, of course, he's the successor to a Bernie presidency. I could kind of see that going 1-2.
Well, again, the problem is with libertarian values, which is, the absence of or the decentralization of government. Essentially, all the programs that are popular, Social Security, unemployment, Medicaid, Medicare, these are sorts of programs that are popular. Libertarians don't like these programs because they're government ran. They would like the decentralizing of government in that sense. Your AARP crowd, not going to vote for you if they're smart. They're not going to vote for you. Your veterans, not going to vote for you. And that's because a lot of veterans benefits, the VA, where do you think that comes from? Okay, social programs. But then again, at the same point, though, the candidates that are running from the Democratic side are for the expansion of these programs, and yet a lot of veterans perceived to be more conservative. How does that work? I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's all part of the spin factor, I think. It's just how it's
Right.
being presented. I think when you look at a fundamentalist libertarian agenda like what you just outlined, even I have to pull back and go, look, that made sense 100 years ago, but in today's economy, that shit don't fly. Yeah, so
Stuff like the infrastructure.
right.
You know what I mean? Like things that keep the government rolling. Okay.
Well, it's not
You
even
need
that.
that.
If you look at Social Security and unemployment and some of the programs that you mentioned, in 1900, if you didn't have those programs and you lost your job, it's fine. You typically had, a farm or a friend's farm to go to. You could get some work to get some money to make it. I mean, it wasn't as big of a deal. You busted your ass for it, but you did it. But in today's world, if you lose your job and you have no unemployment to pay your bills, no Social Security to pay your bills, all we're going to do is increase the homeless population. All we're going to do is increase the illegitimate or illegal ways of making money through crime and whatever other means that pay that are off the books. Because you can't just go to a business anymore and be like, hey, Bobby, you got any slots open? I know we were friends in like fourth grade. Maybe you could, but there's so many rules in place with equal opportunity and everything else that it's so much more difficult to do that nowadays. It's harder to survive without those programs there. And I think at the core that's a flaw with fundamentalist libertarian values.
To be fair, I mean there are libertarians that are strong advocates of the 10th Amendment, of the federalist type system, that each state would be then providing this stuff for their population. The problem with that is there's no standard to that service. That's part of the reason why the central government exists. to have a standardized way of gathering taxes, which is an important function of government. Okay, that's why we essentially created the Constitution at this particular time. That things again like education. How do you do as a federalist system, a system of education? It's really, really, really difficult. And I'm not talking about just teaching your kid basic mathematics. I'm talking about providing a curriculum that if they go across the state line to attend another school, such as if they go from high school into college and they go to a college in another state, how are they going to be prepared for that college? That's where central government comes in, is providing a standardized system. There's many shades of libertarian, but when it comes to that sort of stuff, libertarians are for the decentralization of government.
If you like what you see, be sure to check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and our page polypompous.com.